My friend, I need to ask you a question that perhaps no one has asked you before with this level of honesty. Have you ever stopped to think that maybe you're working hard the right way, but in the wrong place? That you wake up every day, follow your routine, pay your bills, and yet the feeling of freedom always seems one step ahead? Never hear? Life isn't fair. Everyone knows that. Some are born with a safety net beneath them, others are born already balancing. And those who lost the birth lottery will need to work even harder. That's a painful reality, and I'm not going to sell you fairy tales here. What I'm going to do is different. In the next few minutes, you'll understand why most people work for entire decades and arrive at the finish line exactly where they started. And this represents a lack of specific information, the same information that ordinary people used to retire decades earlier than expected, spending less than the average American spends in a year. Sounds impossible, I know. But stay with me, because what comes next will change how you see money, time, and your own life. There's a number that most people never calculate. A simple number that fits on one line of a notebook, and that can completely change anyone's financial trajectory. That number is how much you spend per year. Seems obvious, right? But it's not. Most people know how much they earn. Very few know how much they actually spend, and that difference is exactly where financial freedom hides or disappears. When you take that number and multiply it by 25, you discover the amount you'd need to have invested to never again need to work out of necessity. Think about that for a second. If you can live on $40,000 a year, you need $1 million in investments to be free. This math works because there's a principle called the 4% rule, which says that a well-invested portfolio can sustain annual withdrawals of 4% indefinitely, without depleting itself. Pete Adonay, the man who retired at 30 and is now known worldwide for the FIRE movement, used exactly this principle. He didn't win the lottery. He didn't inherit a fortune. He simply learned to live on enough and invested the rest. What makes this even more powerful is the side no one talks about. When you cut your expenses in half, two things happen simultaneously. You need less money to retire, and you have more money to invest today. Two accelerators working together at the same time. It's as if you were pedaling a bicycle, and suddenly the wind started blowing in your favor instead of against you. The distance remains the same, but the effort is cut in half. Now, before continuing, I need to tell you something that will sound strange. Spending less doesn't mean living worse. That's the biggest misconception that exists when it comes to financial independence. The culture we live in makes a point of associating consumption with happiness, as if the size of your TV were proportional to the size of your fulfillment. But research after research shows that this isn't true. The most satisfied people with their lives aren't necessarily those who spend the most. They're those who choose the most. Think about the difference between buying a car out of necessity and buying a car due to social pressure. In the first case, you made a conscious choice. In the second, you made a decision driven by what others will think. And that decision, multiplied over years, is what separates those who build wealth from those who merely maintain appearances. Pete Adonay lived on about $35,000 a year, an entire family with a child, and described this as a great life. He was freeing himself from expenses that never brought real happiness. Here's a practical exercise you can do today. Take the last 3 months of your bank statements and credit cards. Add everything up. Divide by 3. That's your real monthly spending. Multiply by 12. That's your annual spending. Now multiply by 25. That's your number. The amount you need to accumulate to be free. Many people never do this calculation because they're afraid of the result. But ignoring a number doesn't make it disappear. Facing that number, on the other hand, is the first step to changing it. But here comes the part that's perhaps the most important and least discussed. Financial independence isn't about stopping work. That's a huge misunderstanding that makes many people reject the concept before understanding it. The issue isn't you lying in a hammock for the rest of your life. The issue is you working because you want to, not because you need to. There's a brutal difference between these two states of mind, and whoever has lived both knows exactly what I'm talking about. When Pete Adonay retired at 30, he didn't stop doing things. He started writing, built one of the most influential financial blogs in the world, traveled, spent time with his son, did home projects with his own hands. All of this without the pressure of a boss, without a salary defining the value of his time. He worked more than many people, just in the way he chose. And that's the real definition of freedom. Think about something you stopped doing because work didn't allow it. A trip, project, more time with the people you love. Financial independence isn't a distant destination reserved for a lucky elite. It's a path that begins with a conscious decision to reevaluate what you really want and what you're willing to leave behind to get there. And that path, my friend, begins much sooner than you imagine. So let me ask you directly, have you calculated your number yet? Do you know how much you'd need to have invested today to not depend on anyone tomorrow? If the answer is no, you're not alone because most people have never done this. And that's exactly why most people will work their entire lives without getting where they want. Inequality of opportunity is real. Some people started earlier with more resources, with more access. But the knowledge you just absorbed here, the 25x rule, the logic of spending less to free up more, the idea that freedom isn't stopping, it's choosing. This knowledge is available to anyone willing to apply it. And apply is the most important verb in that sentence. Now I want to hear from you. What's the biggest obstacle you see between where you are today and your financial independence? Write in the comments. Seriously, this conversation matters and I read every response. If this content made you think differently, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. Because every week there's a new video about wealth building, investments, and real financial freedom. And while you're here, check out the other videos on the channel. Each one was designed to give you more tools, more clarity, and more ability to make decisions that change trajectories. Before you go, I want to leave you with something. I believe in you, not as a cliche, but as a real conviction. We all carry battles that no one sees, challenges that no one knows. And despite all of this, each of us has more capacity within us than we imagine. You can do more with what you have. You can build a freer life, more conscious, more yours. And when you get there, remember to extend your hand to those still at the beginning of the path. Because in the end, what gives meaning isn't how much we accumulate. It's how much we grow and how much we help others grow too.